This segment is sponsored by Origins Game Fair.
Just as Elisa said, we're talking to a real gamer in studio who wants you to come play games at one of my favorite events happening this weekend. It's Origins Game Fair at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. Meet John Ward, the executive director of this baby. How's it going, John?
Good morning. How are you doing this morning, Cameron?
Good. For someone, and I love this because it's growing so much every year. If someone's never been to Origins Game Fair, what is it?
Origins Game Fair is all non-electronic games. So it's board games, role-playing games, card games like Pokemon. Bushy Road's having a big tournament this year, but it's all sorts of family interactive games. Very family-friendly event.
Yeah, and that's a big reason too, and kind of expand on that, why people are falling in love with board games again, especially with all the technology out there, and how healthy it is really for people.
Well, I think we're social people, so we like to have interaction. And as we were talking earlier, just an opportunity to sit down with families for an hour or so and play games. It relates on different ages. People can play with their kids. They can play with their friends on games nights. Younger generation kids are looking for an opportunity to get unplugged, so they're also having a lot of fun with games.
Nice. And I will say some new games I've even been introduced to, like Yellow is a big company. What's the one with, I always ask you the name, but it's cool.
King of Tokyo.
King of Tokyo. There's like dinosaurs on buildings and everything. Just a great place to discover games. And speaking of discovering, you brought two in studio with us. What are these right here?
These are two games for our Origins Awards program this year. They're new releases that have happened in the last year, so they're both in the board game category.
Wow. And what types of, you don't have to go into detail, but like who would TAC be for?
It's a variety. TAC's more of a sort of a strategy game.
Okay.
All of our games have a lot of strategy and deductive reasoning to them. So they'll pick themes that are popular or new IP that's hit the market and intellectual property rights for companies, and we just have so many creative products that are hitting the market right now. The advent of increased technology has allowed a lot of our smaller companies to really expand their presence on social media, and now these games are becoming more and more popular.
And I mentioned to you before, a lot of people now want to even post on social media, hey, check out this new game that I found.
Yes.
Then they tell their friends about it. It's that cool social conversation. But go down the list, John, all the events that happened this weekend.
It's going to be a little hard.
I know, or at least as many as you can get to.
We have over 8,000 events this year.
Okay, so let's start number one.
That's right.
Just
so
kidding.
We've got there's a lot of big tournaments. So we'll have world tournaments for Catan. We'll have world tournaments for HeroClix, which is superheroes basically playing chess.
Nice.
So we've also got regional tournaments for Bushy Road, which is a card game like Pokemon. We've got just a ton of great events, and then all of our companies that are in Hobby Channel. Pokemon I mentioned.
Yeah.
Yellow you talked about earlier. WizKids, they've all got their presence at the show, which is an opportunity not just show off their products, but to run big events for folks and to teach people how to play.
Right, and you're recognizing people too with something called the Origins Awards. What are those?
Correct. So as a trade association, our Hobby Channel recognizes all the great products that come out every year, and it's by category. So board games, role-playing games, miniature games, collectible games, family games, and each of those categories gets nominated the top 10 or so for consideration, and then there's a winner for each category at Origins every year.
Awesome.
So that process is part of the awards. Both of these are Origins Award nominees this year.
Very cool. So reminder viewers, when's it happening, where's it located, and where can they get tickets?
Sure. We opened yesterday.
Yep.
So it's at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. You can get your tickets online at originsgamefair.com, or you can just come down to the show. You can sign up on your phone, go through the line. It's taken about 11 minutes to get through this morning.
I love it.
So it's a great time.
I'm going to ask you a loaded question.
Sure.
And please, please, please answer. I'll give you two categories.
Okay.
Favorite old school board game growing up.
Favorite old school board game growing up has to be Axis and Allies.
Axis, and you said a new one's coming out with that, right?
Yeah.
Zombies?
Yeah, they're relaunching Axis and Allies at our show this year, Axis, Allies, and Zombies.
There you go.
And we have a tank down at the Convention Center,
Look at
so
that.
come down and see the tank.
Tanks, zombies, and board games all at the Convention Center, John. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I greatly appreciate it. Again, fun for the entire family, runs through Sunday. We got more coming up on Marketplace after the break.